A pack of wolves making a kill. This has always been at the top of the list of things I wanted to one day witness in Yellowstone. As sad as it is to watch an animal suffer such a brutal killing, I can't help but be captivated and impressed by the coordination, teamwork, and sheer will that wolves put into taking down prey that is 4 times their size. Wolves are what's known as a keystone species, which is a species that holds an ecosystem together, like the keystone in an arch. Keystone species make up a very small portion of an ecosystem's biomass or life, but play a substantial role, arguably the most important role, in keeping an ecosystem together. Wolves are needed in Yellowstone to keep ungulates, like elk, bison, and moose, from overpopulating and destroying all the native vegetation. The wolves ended up chasing the elk behind a hill, so I didn't get to watch them finish the kill, but it was still so incredible to watch the start of the kill happen right in front of me. What a way to start a vlog. After watching the wolf kill, I spent most of the rest of the day waiting on the wolves to reappear and driving around the area looking for other wildlife. Unfortunately, neither happened. So the next morning, I was up early and headed over to the west side of the park, where the sow grizzly with 2 cubs from last vlog were seen once again the night before. Despite the pouring rain, a small crowd had formed where the bear family was last seen. Up on the cliff above, the sow was resting in the rain. I set up my camera and began shooting. After a few minutes, I noticed something was off. The sow seemed lethargic and her cubs were nowhere to be seen. Did she lose the cubs? A minute later, my question was answered when a photographer standing behind me stumbled upon something terrible. Warning, the image you're about to see is quite graphic, so you may want to skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't like gore. For the second morning in a row, Yellowstone had been struck by death. A male grizzly had killed her cubs. A photographer I was with reported the findings and we left the area. We figured it was better to give her some space after what had happened. The rain continued to fall as I headed north. Before long, I found a few black bears out foraging along the roadside. And the show didn't stop there. I descended into Lamar Valley, where the rain and snowmelt had provided ample water for the plants, turning the valley vibrant shades of green. I continued up into the Absarokas, where it got colder and the rain was turning a bit slushy. As I drove north, I came across not just 1, but 3 moose. After photographing the moose, I headed back into Lamar, the rain still falling steadily. On the way there, an orange flash darted across the road. A red fox! The fox did a bit of mousing, then headed up the hill and into the forest. Man, despite the sad start to the day, this had turned out to be a great day in the park. I had found so much wildlife and gotten so many photos I was happy with. And thankfully for me, it just kept getting better. As I went back into Lamar, the rain finally stopped. I pulled over where a small crowd had formed, and to my surprise, found myself face to face with one of Yellowstone's most underrated animals, the American badger. And there wasn't just one badger. There were two. This is a mother and her cub. After Mom went on a short, unsuccessful hunt, they decided it was playtime. Spring is just awesome for finding baby animals out and about. And just down the road from the badger den, I found a coyote den, where there were some coyote pups out playing as well. How much wildlife can a person photograph in a day? Apparently, a lot. This turned out to be one of my most productive days ever in the park, and after a good day of shooting, I headed over Dunraven Pass. On the way up, it began to snow lightly, then more heavily, then even more heavily. Before I knew it, we were crawling over the pass, and as I came down, the pass was closed due to hazardous weather conditions. It didn't take long after that before park road after park road began to close, and before long, I was trapped, snowed into the center of the park, and with the way the snow was falling, this was going to persist for a few days. So I went to bed in a snowstorm, hoping enough of the park would be open in the morning for me to get out and shoot. Thankfully, a few of the park roads stayed open, so I was able to get out at sunrise and drive through Hidden Valley. didn't see anything there, so I continued south to where I knew great gray owls like to hang out. They're so elusive that I wasn't really expecting to see one, but somehow my luck continued today, and I found a beautiful great gray sitting out in the light snowfall. I sat with the bird for a while, and the longer I sat there, the more intense the snow got. It was so cool to be able to capture one of these massive raptors in this snowy setting. Eventually, the snow died down, and the owl disappeared into the thick forest to the north. I left where the owl had been and headed back towards Hayden Valley, where I had breakfast. But along the way, I decided to make a quick stop. So guys, I'm not sure how well you can hear me, but we're here in Yellowstone, along the Yellowstone River, photographing the Harlequin ducks. Conditions aren't perfect. The water is a little more muddy than I would like it to be, and I don't have a polarizer for my 500 f4, but still getting some stuff that I think I like, and that's at least okay. After spending a bit of time with the Harlequins, then eating, I went east in search of bears. But instead of bears, I found something much smaller that I was much more excited to shoot. Bluebirds. I'm usually a large mammal photographer, but today was turning out to be a bird day. These mountain bluebirds are the first migrating songbirds to return to the greater Yellowstone ecosystem each year, a sign of spring's arrival. After shooting the bluebirds, I headed back west. Just before dark, I encountered a grizzly bear. But this wasn't just any bear. This was the mother who had lost her cubs just a few days before. She was peacefully foraging along the roadside, and then some clueless tourists got out of their cars about 15 yards away from her and scared her away up the hill. The next morning, she was out again, this time a lot further away from the road and the tourists. She was moving with purpose, and she had a few nearby elk quite spooked. Elk calving season had just begun after all, so mother elk are highly protective of their very vulnerable calves at this time. Just how vulnerable are the calves, you might ask? Well, this next clip is quite graphic and quite sad, so viewer discretion is advised. You might want to skip ahead a minute if you don't like seeing animal hunts. Alright, you've been warned. She's got an elk calf. Just after the bear took the calf up the boardwalk, Mama came rushing in, barking at the bear. The bear dragged the limp calf over a ridge, Mama elk close behind. Unfortunately, there was nothing she could do. Wow, the circle of life in action. While it was sad and very difficult to watch, it was also very fascinating to see this confrontation between elk and bear play out, all from the safety of a car. Yellowstone truly puts us in the heart of the wilderness. And a little off topic, but very interesting, this took place on May 31st, 2022. And a year ago to the day, on May 31st, 2021, I watched Grizzly 399 and her 4 cubs eat an elk calf. I guess May 31st is my lucky day for watching bears hunt. The rest of the day, I saw one more black bear, a coyote, and a grizzly. And the next day, I decided to head through the park's northeast entrance first thing. The Beartooth Highway, one of the most scenic drives in the country, had just opened for the season the day before, so I wanted to go see what it looked like all covered in snow. However, to get to the northeast entrance, you have to go through Lamar Valley. And this morning, Lamar was teeming with life. First, I had a black bear and a few cautious cow elk. I thought we might see a repeat of yesterday's event, but instead the bear wandered away into the forest. Then a cinnamon black bear and 2 yearling cinnamon cubs. They were pretty far out and not in a good position for photos, so I moved on quickly. And as I entered the magnificent Lamar Valley with its massive herds of bison, I came upon another active hunt. A gray wolf was hunting for bison calves. In the springtime, wolves in Yellowstone take advantage of the weakness of bison calves, and when they get the chance, they will always take them. It might be a small meal compared to an adult elk or bison, but it's something. Today, this wolf was unsuccessful. I then left the park and drove northeast. The views were absolutely incredible. Unfortunately though, right before the peak of the Beartooth Highway, we were turned back. Last night's snow had covered the road once again, and it was going to take some time to get it cleared. So, back down into the valley below and towards the park. While we may not have gotten to drive the pass, we did see a few moose along the way. As well as a red fox. Back in the park, I came across a few bison with calves up close to the road. And then, yet another black bear. Man, I've seen a lot of bears these last few days. And speaking of bears, I just want to quickly remind you all that I'm giving away a free trip to Alaska to photograph coastal brown bears when I hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that button now for a chance to win this free, once-in-a-lifetime trip when the time comes. After a long day of driving and photographing wildlife, I returned to my camping spot late at night. I was just about to go to bed when suddenly I got this text. Blondie, one of the prettiest bears in the Tetons, a bear that hasn't been seen in almost 2 years, just randomly popped out with triplet cubs. I couldn't miss this. So, I did exactly what any sane person would do. I set my alarm for 3:30, slept 3.5 hours, and drove all the way to the Tetons in the dark the next morning. And thankfully, the long drive paid off. Just after sunrise, Blondie appeared. They appeared multiple times throughout the day, giving the horde of photographers there multiple opportunities to see and photograph her. Now, I'm a bit picky about lighting in my photos, so despite how many times she came out throughout the day, I never really got a photo that I liked. The lighting was just too harsh for my taste. The lighting did soften up as the day came to an end, but I still didn't manage to get any great photos of her, just some video clips. Regardless, it was an awesome day spent with Blondie and her tiny fluffball cubs, probably the cutest grizzly cubs that I've ever seen. And as much as I wanted to stay and shoot them more, my time truck camping was coming to an end. As the snow melted from the peaks above and the flowers bloomed in the valleys below, summer was returning to the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, and I was returning to another season at Canyon General Store. Little did I know at that time what lay ahead, and in the next vlog, we're going to cover all that. From the historic mass flooding that shut down Yellowstone for 2 weeks and left us trapped in the park, to the return of my favorite Yellowstone grizzlies, Raspberry and Jam. The next vlog is going to be a good one. Until then though, it was an epic few weeks of truck camping in which I experienced some of the most incredible things I've ever experienced. And before I end this vlog, I do just want to let you all know that many of the images you see in this vlog are now up for sale as prints on my website and are featured in my 2023 calendars. Links to purchase these are below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.